fans love their teams. They dress in the team's colors, cheer wildly when great plays are made, and boo when things don't go their way. Is this a good thing, or do sports fans care too much about winning? In Casey at the Bat, the fans expect only the best from their mighty hitter. Narrative poems are poems that tell stories. They have elements of fiction, such as characters, plot, and setting. They also present a conflict and might include suspense. As you read Casey at the Bat, identify its settings. Also, notice the suspense that builds as you read the story. Sound devices are used to make writing more energetic and exciting. 3 sound devices that are used often through Casey at the Bat are repetition, rhyme, and rhythm. Look for them as you read. Introducing an American classic and favorite, written by Ernest Lawrence Thayer in 1888. Enjoy Casey at the Bat.
It looked extremely rocky for the Mudville Nine that day. The score stood 2-4, with but an inning left to play. So when Cooney died at second, and Burroughs did the same, Apollo read the features of the patrons of the game. A straggling few got up to go, leaving there the rest, with that hope which springs eternal within the human breast. For they thought, if only Casey could get a whack at that. They put up even money now with Casey at the bat. But Flynn preceded Casey, and likewise so did Blake, and the former was a puddin', and the latter was a fake. So on that stricken multitude a death-like silence sat, for there seemed but little chance of Casey's getting to the bat. But Flynn let drive a single, to the wonderment of all, and the much-despised Blakey tore the cover off the ball. And when the dust had lifted, they saw what had occurred. There was Blakey safe at second, and Flynn ahead in third. Then from the gladdened multitude went up a joyous yell. It rumbled in the mountain tops, it rattled in the dell. It struck upon the hillside and rebounded on the flat, for Casey, mighty Casey, was advancing to the bat. There was ease in Casey's manner as he stepped onto his base. There was pride in Casey's bearing and a smile on Casey's face. And when responding to the cheers, he lightly doffed his hat. No stranger in the crowd could doubt 'twas Casey at the bat. 10,000 eyes were on him as he rubbed his hands with dirt. 5,000 tongues applauded when he wiped them on his shirt. Then with the writhing pitcher ground the ball into his hip. Defiance glanced in Casey's eye. A sneer curled Casey's lip. And now the leather-covered spear came hurtling through the air, and Casey stood a-watching in haughty grandeur there. Close by the sturdy batsman, the ball unheeded sped. That ain't my style, said Casey. Strike one, the umpire said. From the benches filled with people, there went up a muffled roar, like the beating of the storm waves on the stern and distant shore. Kill him! Kill the umpire! Shouted someone in the stand. And it's likely that they'd killed him had not Casey raised his hand. With a smile of honest charity, great Casey's visage shone. He stilled the rising tumult. He made the game go on. He signaled to the pitcher, and once more the spirit flew. But Casey still ignored it, and the umpire said, "Strike two." "Fraud!" cried the maddened thousands, and and the audience was awed. They saw his face grow stern and cold. They saw his muscles strain, and they knew that Casey wouldn't let the ball go by again. The sneer is gone from Casey's lips. His teeth are clenched in hate. He pounds with cruel vengeance his bat upon the plate. And now the pitcher holds the ball, and now he lets it go. And now the air is shattered by the force of Casey's blow. Oh, somewhere in this favored land, the sun is shining bright. The band is playing somewhere, and somewhere hearts are light. And somewhere men are laughing, and somewhere children shout. But there is no joy in Mudville. Mighty Casey has struck out.
Let's listen to another narrative poem. This time, it's in the form of a song. It's I Am the Greatest by Kenny Rogers.
Little boy in a baseball hat stands in the field with his ball and bat. Says I am the greatest player of them all. Puts his bat on his shoulder and he tosses up his ball. And the ball goes up and the ball comes down. Swings his bat all the way around. The world's so still you can hear the sound. The baseball falls to the ground. Now the little boy doesn't say a word, picks up his ball, he is undeterred. Says I am the greatest there has ever been. And he grits his teeth and he tries it again. And the ball goes up and the ball comes down, swings his bat all the way around. The world's so still you can hear the sound. The baseball falls to the ground. He makes no excuses, he shows no fear. He just closes his eyes and listens to the cheers. Little boy, he adjusts his hat, picks up his ball, stares at his bat. Says I am the greatest, the game is on the line. And he gives his all one last time. And the ball goes up like the moon so bright, swings his bat with all his might. And the world's as still can be. And the baseball falls, and that's strike three. Now it's supper time, and his mama calls. Little boy starts home with his bat and ball. Says I am the greatest, that is a fact. But even I didn't know I could pitch like that. Says I am the greatest, that is understood. But even I didn't know I could pitch that good.